William E. Spriggs, class of '77, is a recognized expert in labor policy and research. For over 25 years, he has worked as an educator, researcher, and advocate for working families and low-income communities. He is currently the Assistant Secretary for Policy at the U.S. Department of Labor, having been nominated by President Barack Obama and confirmed by the United States Senate in October 2009. Prior to his appointment, Bill was chairman of the Economics Department at Howard University, where he is on leave, and a senior fellow at the Economic Policy Institute. Assistant Secretary Spriggs is no stranger to government service, having held various positions in the Clinton administration, including heading the National Commission for Employment Policy and crafting guidelines for the federal Small Disadvantaged Business Program at the Department of Commerce. And he served as a senior economist for the Democratic staff of the Congressional Joint Economic Committee. Bill has also served as vice chair of the board of the Congressional Black Caucus Political Education and Leadership Institute, a fellow of the National Academy of Public Administration, and on the policy board of the Association of Public Policy Analysis and Management. Prior to his tenure at Howard, Dr. Spriggs was a senior fellow at the Economic Policy Institute. From 1988 to 2004, he served as executive director of the National Urban League's Institute for Opportunity and Equality. Dr. Spriggs has published in both academic and popular journals and has appeared on numerous television and radio news programs. Welcome, Bill.
So first I want to say thank you to President Falk. When he called and explained how the day was going to go, I was shocked and then really honored. Having been an academic, I'm on leave, Dean, I'm coming back. And been to lots of inductions. This is like being invited to the wedding and then deciding you're going to wear a white dress also. So I appreciate that you were willing to share this, your day, with us. It really is your day, and so I appreciate you doing that. And then sort of full circle, I'm very happy to see President Chandler here because my class was his class, and so he was the first to greet us when I came here in 1973. And I want to thank Deb Lapine, who knows why she's being thanked because I had such a hard time getting here. So it made it very possible. And before I do anything else, I want to thank my wife. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here because my son is a very talented musician and he's the lead trumpet for his marching band. So he's deemed an essential personnel. And because they have a festival today, of course, they couldn't perform without this lead performer. So unfortunately, she couldn't be here. She indulges my love of Williams. She has a coworker who teases her. He went to Williams, and every time he sees her, he says, "You're living the dream, you're living the dream. Every woman wants to be married to a Williams man." So...
That's great.
She's indulged that. And I want to thank a friend who is partly responsible for me being here. The admissions office at the time included Benny Boswell, who was an alum, and he had the good sense that when I came as a high school senior to have a co-ed to give me a tour of the campus. This was very smart of him. So Paula escorted me around campus. And definitely one of the reasons why I chose Williams. So I actually want to bring that up because I want to spend part of my time not talking about me because that's really boring to me. It's sort of like when I did the Grand Canyon ride on the mule, they pointed out to us, the mule's been down, this is not exciting to the mule. I want to thank the college. At Howard, we have a similar kind of event, Charter Day. Part of the reason that colleges do this sort of thing is to add to the myth of the college. Part of what makes a college work, I think, is myth. And it's important to reinforce to students what the college is really about, to show them the type of alum that the college wants to celebrate and hold forth as this is what, sort of a teaching moment, this is what we mean, this is what we hope to accomplish. And I can say, upon my arrival, the school was struggling with being co-ed. This class of mine was only the third class that had come in as freshmen. Second class that had come in as freshmen. There had been women here who were transfers. One of the other reasons why I chose Williams, is Mike Reed here? No? Okay. His older sister, Bobette, was a pioneer and had transferred here. She was another reason to want to come to Williams. And so I'm very happy to be included in this panel, and that's part of why I don't want to talk about myself. It's like, because this is part of myth making, and I don't want to view myself as being that dead. So, but at the time, that was a huge challenge, both in terms of having much more significant African American student presence and having women on campus. Today, I'm happy to see the way that the college has changed, and changed in a way that reaffirms what makes Williams a very special place. Liberal arts ultimately should teach you to appreciate that there are many different ways of arriving at truth. And we just heard two great lectures on nature and different perspectives of looking at nature and arriving at a truth. And in that, one would have to celebrate diversity, because you also begin to understand that different folks from different backgrounds will bring different things to the college, different things that also represent excellence in the search for truth. It didn't feel that way all the time when I was here. My class, my entering class, had twice as many black students as graduated. That was quite obvious when I was a junior and a senior, and we had a confrontation with the college administration at the time over, didn't you just understand when you sent these letters to these folks that you just wiped out our class? And I'm very happy that now the college graduation difference is really a matter of the math of how you calculate percentages. You can't get the percentages to be equal. And so I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy that we're part of the myth. I look at those who have won bicentennial medals ahead of me, and they're my cohorts. And I'm very happy to see the people who are celebrated, that it's not sort of the usual suspects. It's people who are making a real contribution. It's a lesson that I think that's being sent to the students about what Williams wants them to see as the value of a Williams education. So whether it's reaching out to the community and running Boys and Girls Clubs and being important to Boy Scouts and changing the lives of kids where they are, or in the case of some of my cohorts who have won the award ahead of me, Anna Waring for reaching back in Chicago and running a school for inner city kids in Chicago, or Debbie Robinson, who was awarded for her work on the international scene for environmental justice, or Frank, who was a little ahead of me, who is specialized in doing medicine around the world. It's important to have these pieces of affirmation for students so that they see that the diversity actually is celebrated, and that it's important to the college, and that it's important to the college that people are in many different fields and make many different contributions. It's very reaffirming. We had to search for that when I was here. One of the highlights of being here was an opportunity to meet Sterling Brown. Sterling Brown came to visit, and I had the privilege of helping get him from the airport and spending a great deal of time with him. And for African American students who had to struggle to find where we fit in the college, it was great to have Sterling come back. Now, unfortunately, I don't think he was celebrated quite the right way the time that he came back, but then Paula led a wonderful effort that Chris and many other members of the alumni embraced in a huge way. The college celebrated him on a super duper level. And for many alums, it was a great moment because suddenly they realized there's a whole part of this college that they could have been celebrating that they didn't know that they could have been celebrating. And I think this has enriched the college, the fact that it knows that there are so many different things that the college does well, and does well for many different types of people, not just some of the usual suspects, but it does it well for a lot of different kinds of people. And so to me, that's sort of the biggest deal about being here. And to sit last night with many of the faculty from econ, and I'm very happy to see how many of the faculty of the economics department are still very much engaged in the college. Gordon Winston was there, Roger Bolton was there, and of course the chair, Ralph Bradford, was there. Ralph was the only one who actually had taught me. Gordon was part of the reason why I came, as was Roger. But it was so nice to have the faculty say to me that they were proud of what I had done. I think there are a number of things about the experience here that have helped my career, probably not so much as an economist. The economics field, I think, has drifted far away from reality and truth and other things. I think it's so esoteric, I don't know what it is. Some of my colleagues think I'm an excellent political scientist. But I was very helped here. Professor Marcus in political science made the political science department really as rigorous on the quantitative side as was true on the economic side. So fortunately, I get along with most of my colleagues who aren't economists, and in a world of public policy where very few policymakers are PhD economists, having respect for people from different disciplines is exceedingly important because they don't put up with the arrogance of economists. And so it was very helpful to have a background that allowed me to see that there are valid ways of looking at problems differently than what you get in your own discipline, and to respect those views and to be able to incorporate them in how you would make decisions. And to be nurtured in an econ department that thought that it really is a social science and not a pseudoscience. And that was very important because I always felt grounded when I was in graduate school, despite the shock that when you're in graduate school in economics, you really think you're in applied math. You actually think you are in math. Mathematicians think you are in applied math. And so you're sitting there going, what does this equation have to do with anything? But I was so grounded that I totally understood what the equation was trying to get at, what they thought they were explaining. So it was a very, very important background to be given here at the college, that it is a social science. And I was very happy that Professor Winston thought that, in fact, yes, I had lived up to sort of what Williams wanted to do, and that is to have economists who would go out into the world as he had done and as those who were in the department at the time and actually used it for the good of other people and thought about how do you use it to sort of engineer a better society, and how do you use economics to think about the common good, not just to be a sycophant to the rich. So I appreciate what that background meant, and I appreciate what it meant to have been a double major and have the political science department give me a solid foundation as well. When I think about my career after leaving Williams, when I was here, I came because of the economics department. I came because I wanted to do economic policy. I actually don't think of my career in terms of products because I'm still in the middle of it, I think. I hope I'm still alive. And so I really think of being that student here and what I would have imagined. And the fact that in the course of my career, what has been so much more important to me are the people that are now my colleagues or were colleagues and people that I called upon that I could have only sort of dreamed about when I was here. Unfortunately, this past year, we lost two of those, Dr. Dorothy Height, and I felt exceedingly privileged that my career launched me into a path where she really was someone that I worked closely with. So much so that one of her last meetings that she hosted, this was one of the big highlights of my professional career, as the Washington person for the National Urban League, you're at the key seat for the Black Leadership Forum, which is all of the major Black civil rights organizations. And the meeting was hosted by Dr. Height. And so coming back to that group as the Assistant Secretary for Policy at Labor and having Dr. Height tell the rest of folks who at one point been my colleagues, shh, I want you to be quiet because I want to hear what he has to say. That was an unbelievable highlight because, you know, when you're in the meeting otherwise, we were all quiet because we had to hear what Dr. Height had to say. And then unfortunately we lost a dear colleague recently, last 2 weeks, I guess, Ronald Walters, who was a very close friend of mine. And to be at that ceremony with other people who are colleagues and to understand where my career has taken me is really, I put it as the reference of who do I hang around now. So at the funeral with Congressman Cummings and Jesse Jackson and so many others who I think if I were still sitting here as a junior, I go, wow, these people are your friends, wow. What a neat world. Least of all, my boss, Secretary Solis, and President Barack Obama. So this is an interesting journey back. And I am so happy with the way that the college has lived up to what I think is the best. It's still the best at what it does, and the way that it has incorporated and met this challenge of incorporating women, incorporating African Americans. It's still a journey that it's working on to perfect, but it's a long, long way from when I was here, and in a very good way, and in a way that I think only Williams could have expected itself to do. So I thank you for including me with all of my colleagues here.